Hey guys, it's Rebecca, and today I'm going to be talking about more stuff about being a composer, and this time I'm going to be focusing specifically on imposter syndrome. So, for those who didn't know, here is the Google definition for imposter syndrome. And I feel like how this applies to myself and a lot of other composers out there, maybe, is that you don't really feel like a quote unquote real composer, whether it's because of your workflow or because of like how often you compose or what you write or whatever. Um, for me personally, like, I always have this, like, nagging feeling of, I'm not an actual real composer, like, most people are probably a lot better than me, like, I can't let others know how bad of a composer I actually am. I feel like an example of this is, like, I feel like most of the time it's just like, "Oh, yeah, I write music, it's pretty cool," like, I'll tell people, "Hey, I write music." But then once it comes to, like, talking to someone who actually studies music or is, like, a musical professional, and then I mention to them that I write music and they ask to see or hear one of my pieces, like, I'm immediately nervous because, like, the first thoughts that are, like, running through my mind are like, "Oh my god, they're gonna see, like, every single flaw in this piece. They're gonna see that I don't know any theory. They're gonna see that, like," or maybe they'll see that, "Hey, maybe I know some theory, but then I just suck at theory." I mean, which I do, but yeah. They're gonna see, like, how simple my melodies are. They're gonna see how easy it is to come up with, like, my melodies. They're gonna see how, like, I always use the same chords. They're gonna see how I use, like, root position way too much, and I don't really do inversions much. They're gonna see I usually use diatonic triads. I don't use a lot of dissonance. I I don't know. I generally write in the same style. I generally create the same textures in my music. I like to use arpeggios a lot. Probably more often than I don't know, than I guess is reasonable. I don't know. There's also the thing with me only being able to write for piano. Like, I'm not very good at writing orchestral pieces. So it's just like a whole bunch of stuff like that. And I'm just like, you know, even though I guess you can like my pieces, you can like my piano pieces, they're still really simple, really easy to write, and if someone else who really wanted to learned composition, they could become better than me in, like, a lot shorter time. So, this is just some of the stuff I feel as a composer sometimes, and, I think a lot of other composers might be able to relate to this as well. Honestly, when I first joined MuseScore and I realized how many good composers there were, so, like, when I first started sharing my music online and I realized that, hey, composing isn't actually as rare as I thought. There are actually so many talented musicians out there, so many talented composers out there. I was just like, okay, yeah, like, I started feeling like, everyone else is so creative, everyone else is so good, and then, like, I'm here just coming up with these, like, simple melodies, like, really simple chord progressions. Like, I was just like, wow, I'm like, how uncreative am I to, like, only be able to write this, so, like, everyone else can, like, write whatever they could. I feel like it's made even worse when you just go online looking for music and you find a random user and you're just like, okay, well, let's check this out. And then their music is so good, and then you listen to your music in comparison and it just sounds bland and dead. And then you're just like, ugh, can I just, like, quit, like, now? I've got no hope. And then if they tell you they like your music, or God forbid, even say it's better than theirs, you're just like, damn, really? How could you think that I am actually good considering what you write? Like, do you actually like my music, or are you just being nice to the newbie beginner, You would think for people like me, who has been the recipient of comments like, wow, your music is so good, I wish I could write like you're an inspiration. I feel so bad about my music now after listening to yours. Just comments like that. You would think that, like, I would be feeling less like an imposter, but no, because you see, the thing is, I also used to share the misconception that once I was able to write like someone I drew inspiration from, I would always be confident in my abilities, and I'd always be like, yeah, of course, I know I'm good. Ugh. Like, I was super inspired by the Night Reader. She's a user on MuseScore. She was MuseScore of the Month for April 2017. So I was really inspired by her music when I first joined MuseScore. And I was just like, oh my god, if I could write like the Night Reader, like, I would not be insecure about my music at all, because I would just know that I was an amazing composer. And she obviously knows she's an amazing composer. And, like, especially, like, since she had, like, so many followers, so many comments, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna know I'm an amazing composer, and I'm also gonna have my commenters telling me I'm an amazing composer, which I would obviously believe, right? Yeah, no. Because the thing is, when someone gives me a compliment on my music, On one side, I am really happy that you think that. It really means a lot to me because I don't know, it's just awesome to like inspire people and have them like enjoy your music, right? But then on the other hand, there's also that like, you know, I'm not someone who composes like super regularly. I'm not someone who can upload every single day. Like I only like upload something like once a month. And like, you know, all those melodies in that composition, like I'd say that like the vast majority of the melodies in my composition are, I guess, my good ones or like my better ones that would make it into a composition. Like, what about the ones that didn't make it into a composition? Like, those are, like, I guess, a better representation of the quote unquote average quality of melodies I hear in my head on a daily basis. Than I guess the melodies I put out like in my piano music. So it's just like, you know, thanks for the compliment, but at the same time, you're only seeing the surface. You're only seeing the melodies that I thought were good enough and coherent enough to put in a piece. And you're not seeing how bad of composer or like my average ability, or like you're not seeing how bad my average ability really is. Like a lot of the times I do hear melodies that are a lot better than what I usually write down, but like the bad ones still kind of outnumber the good ones, you know? Like, a lot of the times I feel like if people were to judge my composition ability or my musical ability based on what I put out on MuseScore and YouTube, it'd be a pretty gross overestimate of my actual compositional and musical ability. And I know I'm contradicting myself a bit here because I literally just roasted my compositions like 5 minutes ago, but like, that's just kind of how it is. Maybe I'm just dumb, you know? So this is kind of like the gist of what my imposter syndrome as a composer feels like. And I feel like some of the things I'm about to mention actually makes it worse. For example, I hate studying music theory. It is so boring. I can't stand sitting there reading about how to voice lead and how like certain chords go into another. And the thing is like it's so easy to make mistakes. And once you realize you've made a mistake, it's in the middle of your piece. So in order to correct that mistake, you're gonna have to make 5 more, and then you basically just have to start over. And like, even with that aside, like just learning the concepts of music theory for me is just really, really boring. Even though like composing, like being able to apply the music theory is like a lot less boring, but like actually learning the music theory is so boring and it's so time consuming and it's just ugh. And like, yeah, this is partly why I decided not to study music for my college degree. I can't sit there and study music theory all day. Like, I die, literally. And the thing is with composers is that generally composers are really into music theory because, you know, obviously music theory and composition are literally like going hand in hand. But no, like I'm a composer that hates music theory, or at least hates studying music theory. And it's yeah, like when people discuss it, I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about, but like, you know, I also don't take the time to learn. And then a lot of the times, like, I feel like I should take the time to learn more music theory because I do actually want to know this stuff, but at the same time, the process of learning it is just, ugh. Like, if I'm gonna spend my free time doing something, would I rather do something that's insanely painful and boring and take a long time to like actually use, or I don't know, like do something more fun, like watch a YouTube video, you know. And as someone who already has enough anxiety on a day-to-day basis, when I finally have free time, why would I use it to subject myself to even more pain, you know? But then I feel guilty for not learning music theory and improving as quickly as I could if I did. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation, and I guess I can rest in pieces. Ah, ha, 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 ha. And since we're already on the note of how boring music theory is, can we talk about how boring the actual process of composition is? You sit there and you click notes. You click the places you want your notes to go. Like, I know it technically like writes the melodies in your head, but the actual process of doing it is so boring. You just click notes and you have to do it for hours. And it takes so long. Like, you hear the melody in your head within 5 seconds, and then you gotta spend the next 20 minutes writing it. It's I don't know if it's just the MuseScore software that's like bad, but like I'm pretty proficient in MuseScore, and I think it's pretty convenient. Like if I want a note there, I can like get it there. But like it still takes really long compared to like how long it takes to hear a melody in your head. And I know it's like kind of unrealistic to expect like something that just connects to my brain and transcribes everything I hear immediately. But like that's kind of like what I wish we had, because the process right now is just it's so repetitive, it's boring, it's bland, and like, yeah. So in a way, do I like composing? Of course I do. I really like composing. I've been doing it for years. But on the other hand, do I like composing? Hell no. But I like composing enough to suffer through the pain of composing. So yeah, hope you get what I mean. And when I'm really into a piece, like really fixated on composing a piece, I don't even mind the process of composing. Like the whole thing is just enjoyable because I really enjoy writing the melodies. But at the same time, that sort of hyper-focus also doesn't happen very often, which is yet another contributing factor to my colossal workflow of either zero productivity or sitting there for 6 hours straight doing nothing but composing. Because during the days of zero productivity, I literally can't be bothered to get off my ass to go sit on MuseScore to click a bunch of notes when I'm not especially inspired, because I don't know, it's just boring. Like during that time, I don't really have an interest in composing, you know? Like I kind of just lose interest in composing. But like when I'm actually like fixated, that's when I actually like have productivity and then I actually make stuff. So then that kind of contributes to my imposter syndrome, because like if most of the time I can't even be bothered to compose, then how can I call myself a composer, you know? But you know, my workflow is just kind of like that, so it be that way. Also, I was gonna end the video here, but after listening to the audio I recorded, I realized I said I liked writing down melodies and not writing down music. And I think that actually is kind of significant in that my interest span, I guess we can call it an interest span, is so short that I pretty much only have the motivation to write a piece for as long as it takes to write the melody. Because then, like, I don't know, like, I feel like accompanying parts, like, I'll hear them in my head and be like, wow, I really want this to have, like, this and that and that. I want strings, I want woodwinds, I want, like, percussion. But then, like, I only have a limited interest span, so by the time I've written, like, say, 5 measures of all the instruments I want, like, my interest span for that piece is already over, so now I have no more interest to work on that piece, and chances are that piece will never get done. And that is why pretty much everything I upload is a small-scale piece, if not a solo piano piece. And of course that makes me feel like an imposter, because what kind of composer doesn't like sitting there and composing? So yeah, that's kind of what imposter syndrome as a composer feels like for me, and I hope you guys could relate to that too, or at least some of it. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, my COVID-19 fundraiser is still going. I have my Patreon link in the description below. I might post in the pinned comment, I don't know yet. But like, yeah, 100% of the proceeds I make on my Patreon will be donated to Partners in Health Canada in support of COVID-19, and in turn, you will get access to exclusive scores that are not available to the general public, so I'd strongly advise you to check it out. And finally, again, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and bye.